At FitFiliate, we're excited to announce the Affiliate Engineering Seminar. Coming soon to an affiliate near you, don't miss this exciting opportunity to create the affiliate of your dreams. Link in show notes or in bio to And welcome back to our next episode of the FitFiliate podcast. Joined as ever by one of my favourite humans on the planet, Tony. I know he thought I was going to say Andrew Charlesworth.
I was expecting you to say Andrew. I was like, wait a minute. How did he get graduated to that?
For a split second, I thought, should I? And I thought I'd play nice today.
I would have completely believed it.
Given that we have a special guest again today for his second and definitely not last appearance on the podcast, the one and only Andrew Charlesworth, Midwest CrossFit affiliate owner of owner of CrossFit Chewy and all things wisdom and philosophy for our podcast today, I think.
Yeah, I think perpetually curious Tony, wisdom man. I think if I could speak as good as him, I would be more curious. No, I don't want to be able to speak as good as you, because then too many people would know my mind, because I can get my thoughts out too easily, because I can't get them out. That's why I can't believe you're letting me on here again, especially, I don't know. I'm excited about this topic, though, Lisa.
Tony literally dies on the podcast. Are you right there?
No, I love bubble water, but not when someone makes me laugh and it comes out my nose.
Don't be drinking bubble water.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, I could get all my thoughts out, but nobody wants that. So, to your point, luckily most of them stay locked away within. But I think you're actually really good at it. And so one of the reasons that you effectively get to become a co-host on this podcast is because, one, you get to become the antagonist to this dynamic duo that Lisa and I have become. But two, you're also really, really good at actually articulating your thoughts and your perspective of effectively the affiliate model, the methodology of CrossFit, business in general, definitely rivals mine. So more than happy to, very excited actually that you're here. So let's go.
It gives me a break from hurting Tony, so I'm happy to have backup.
Your mouth. You love it.
Yeah.
No, life choices. Anywho, let's talk. Today's topic, and I'm going to throw a big one at you today, and about the concept around your affiliate should be giving you life, not taking life from you or taking away your capacity to live a full life. So have at that one, lads.
I think first, I want to hear, Tony, what you say about it, that statement, in terms of like, can you paint a day of what that means? Does that make sense? Like, can you let the viewers know what that means?
I think the reason I laughed is I laughed when the topic was told to me before this episode too, that we were going to talk about this, only because that's like a clickbait title, right? Like it's a title that's like,
good.
Yeah, of course I wanted to give me my life back and not take my life. But the problem that I think we run into, or at least in business in general runs into, is that everybody has this belief that hard work beats talent, and it absolutely does. But nobody ever said that hard work and busy work are the same thing. And unfortunately, that's how it's gotten conflated and confabulated to people being like, well, as long as I'm just working on something, somebody be proud of me. And so that's why I think it's a funny topic and potentially maybe gets everybody to tune out, but hopefully they stay tuned in, because I've said it enough times on here that the point of any business, all business, is the sole purpose of a business is to improve the quality of life of the owner, period. Right? Like, so, and the reason I laugh when you use that topic is because I'm not entirely sure that people really grasp what that means. Because I think the notion of quality of life should be really, really within the grasp and in the cognition of any affiliate owner, right? Because it's quite literally the thing that every affiliate owner sells is this giving people back their quality of life. But naturally, as an affiliate owner, there's a hard stop, right? That hard stop lives on the side of effectively what is fitness. And there's no replacement for CrossFit anywhere else on the planet. And it's like the thing that we sell or that you sell that is so inherently valuable is the ability to give people their quality of life back through the implementation and the application of CrossFit. But the formula for quality of life is simple, and it is vitality equals fitness times freedom. And freedom, I wish there was a better word. I think the language is flawed there because freedom is a lot like fitness was, I think, until CrossFit came along, where everybody thought anything was fitness. And I think freedom.
Well, don't sugarcoat it, Tony. You know what freedom means.
Yeah.
You know what freedom means it means money. It means money to us. Okay. Let's make it sure.
It means money. It also means time. And the other two are purpose and relationship, right? And so, and I think for all of them, they throw around this idea that freedom, where I think it gets lost, is a lot like fitness used to be. And fitness was like this thing which was, just contractile potential or aerobic capacity, or these things that do definitely certainly suggest fitness, but they don't inherently make you healthier. And freedom, I think to most people, from a display model only perspective, looks a lot more like the absence of responsibilities. And they think that like that's what freedom is. I think it's just like a core problem in America. What's freedom and what's liberty? But we won't get into politics on today's episode. But
yeah, first one.
There is a quantifiable objective pursuit of freedom as we know it. And those are the four freedoms. Those are the four modalities of freedom. And much like you just said, if you're going to improve your quality of life, money is going to be a part of that equation, no matter how much you try to get around it. No doubt about it. Time is going to be even more important than money. And then purpose and relationship are the two harder ones to understand. But those four things add up to effectively your businesses, your affiliates' ability to improve your life, not take from it. And if your business, just like fitness, is not objectively improving those four key metrics on a day-to-day basis, it's taking away those metrics on a day-to-day basis. Just like if we go in the gym and we, instead of doing things that only objectively and observably improve our fitness, and we start doing other things like extra rowing and extra stuff that is not inherently just increasing our fitness, but is just taking our time, meaning the return on investment is lower, those things are inherently removing your fitness or lowering it to a certain degree. And so the same thing happens in business.
Wow. I think, I know yesterday on my call, I had a smaller group, it's only like 6. And I think I phrased this question. That's the only thing we talked about for 45 minutes. I said, what keeps you up at night? What keeps you up? And so it's similar, right? It's similar to what we're saying here because it's life giving, life taken away. And the results, not to speak to anyone, certain people, you wouldn't imagine, like they're running successful affiliates. When I say success, I mean monetarily, they're happy. Okay. But this person, what keeps them up at night is literally calling back leads, or the fact that they don't call back leads. Like it's something so funny like that. It's like, dude, you're running an amazing affiliate. But for that person, that was it. Other people, it started to be like, I'd have a deeper conversation and they'd say, I don't want to run this business like at all. Like you got that out of them, right? They just want to coach, or they just want to program, and it's so funny because even if your affiliate is operating on a like successful money, you're getting new members, you're retaining members, that doesn't mean that you're meeting those 4 freedoms. It still could be sucking the life out of you for some reason. And you get too scared. I'm sorry, not you, but like I think people get too scared to look internally and be like, dude, what is truly sucking this thing out of me? It could be, as easy as like, hey, I don't have somebody to clean the bathrooms and that bothers me. It could be as bad as, hey, I'm running this gym as a distraction because I don't want to be in my dating my girlfriend, or whatever it is. Like, and I just think I don't know. That's why I'm so attracted to you guys. Physically, emotionally, intellectually, is because
hug.
I feel like this team and affiliate, you're getting inside of those little sections in the brain that people sometimes need assistance because it's a little bit scary in there. It can be. Yeah. Right. So I don't know. I think the things that keep people up, sometimes it's very easy. Oh, the bathrooms, I don't call back leads, my programming. I feel like that is such a vanilla and easy start to it. It's good. But for the most part, it's something way bigger and deeper. Do you think I'm accurate for overall?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we run into with all affiliate owners, this is business owners in general, but affiliate owners obviously are included in that conversation, is getting people to dream, right? It was the subject of yesterday's post on social media. And when I sit down with affiliate owners for the first time and I ask them, what do they effectively want? They have no idea. And so one of the easier ways to ask them usually is kind of that same question, which is what keeps you up at night. It's effectively like, okay, what are you afraid of losing? Right. Or what is it that you don't want? And we can start there, and then we can positively frame it once I know what those negative, fears are, so to speak. But
why do owners stop dreaming, Tony? Lisa?
Well,
like what? Why?
This is exactly why, and I'll tell you why. Because if you come into an affiliate, let's say I wanted to come in, I wanted to get fit, and somebody just hit you with, fitness in 100 words and said, that's what we're going to do, you'd be like, sounds amazing, right? You can't just hit somebody with the theory. The methodology and the practice has to matter. And so while I throw out the equation of vitality and tell people about these 4 freedoms, that's like telling somebody what heaven feels like and not how to get out of hell, right? And we kind of talked about this yesterday.
Loved it.
And let's talk about, I think it's easier to talk about how we get into that treadmill to begin with. And effectively where we lose our ability to dream, we stay up at night, we end up creating our own fears, and we do all these things, is that if a business, full stop, for a business to improve the quality of life of the owner, there's one operative part of that is the most important. What does your life look like? And this is why Affiliate is built the way that it is, and that is that the nuance matters. Every single one of us, you, as you know, and I, as you know, have very different opinions as to what success looks like. That in terms of where money is at.
You love buying new cars. You love buying new cars. And I'm about to pick up my 2010 Toyota 4Runner that I will literally drive until the wheels falls off. Because
and here's the important part of that, right? Like, neither one of those are inherently wrong, right? Because I can buy a new car because I know how to buy a new car, and it won't cost me $1 to buy a new car. And the other solution is to drive a car till the wheels fall off until you buy out all the negative equity. They're both solid strategies. But if somebody comes along and tells you that, hey, you're stupid for driving your car that long because I know how to buy a new car, that's a dick move. Vice versa.
That's the only reason you like me. That's the only reason you like me, I swear. And my wife tells me this all the time. She's like, sometimes I'm like, man, you're not arrogant, Andrew. But it's because of humility. But it's like weird because sometimes you're confident, even overconfident. You know what I mean? But that's the truth. The truth is, you and I can have a constant, I don't do what you do. You don't do what I do. Except we both admit that both are and can be correct or incorrect. Yeah. And you see the other token and the other side of the strategy. Is it, hold on, what you got on money? I got to ask you this. Is it like more of just an American problem when it comes to gluttony?
Worse, I think, in many other cultures.
We just spend too much, and then we have a dream, we open a gym, and then we realize that gym doesn't cover our expenses. Like, is it more like that?
I think it's
simple.
We, even if we take it back to what affiliate owners will understand, like when a new member comes into the gym, what do they tell you? Oh, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 5 pounds or 5 kilos or whatever it is to you. And we know full well that there's something else under there. But no one's sitting there with them and having that conversation saying, okay, so why is that a struggle for you? Why is 5 pounds the number? Why is that? And going through that, if you actually have, the fortitude to sit there and have that conversation and get down, and then you find out, oh, well, I don't like to get undressed with the lights on, and my partner hasn't been near me in years, and I feel unattractive. So even as, if you can, because some affiliate owners might like, no, I dream, I dreamt, I have got the affiliate, I've built it, and they will come, hopefully, if I keep building it and adding Matt Black goodness. And that's what they consider is the dream, rather than what's the real thing. And not having anyone ever sit, because they're at the head of the table, who's going to ask them, like, what's really the the problem here. And then throughout, your life, you're told, kids go, I want to be an astronaut. You've got young kids, 2 young fellas, Andrew, they're probably like, want to be astronauts. I want to be this. But how many times do you get to a certain age when you're told, well, no, you need to be, you should be a teacher, or you got to have a sensible job. You won't get that. So we lose that ability. And then when someone does sit across from you, like a Tony or whoever, and actually ask you those questions, that's where you get that confronting, like, well, I bought this thing because I thought I'd have somewhere to work out whenever I wanted. And someone said, if you have your own business, you've got like an endless pot of money, but I haven't found that yet. So,
Right.
charge it to the business. Well, hey, newsflash, the business needs to have money to charge it to. But, and then that's where they get a bit jaded on it, going, well, I dreamed this thing and I built it and here it is. But it's not like fountains of gold running down the river like I thought it would be.
Wow. So well said, Lisa.
Thank you. Andrew.
To bring it back to the original question too, the reason why I'm so excited for you to be here is that we are antagonistic. You and I probably could not be further
In
apart.
what way? Because I hate real estate. I hate real estate.
Yeah, we have very different opinions as to the exact same outcome. We're both after the same thing, but we all both appreciate very different approaches. And the reason why it's important that you're here is back to the root thing about improving your quality of life for your business. First and foremost, we should all be absolutely allergic to best practices. They are the absolute death knell of innovation. If we are so hell-bent on best practices and copying and emulation, nobody's going to innovate. And this has been the thing that drove the affiliates for so long. And unfortunately, that also drove it into the ground. The other thing that we should also be absolutely hesitant of is groups of like-minded people. Because if you end up in an echo chamber, there is nothing worse to, basically to quote Tosh, than believing your own bullshit, right? And if you get into an echo chamber, you're muted.
No, I knew you were going to bring Tosh up on that one, because that's instantly the quote that goes into my head, is like, you're believing in your own bullshit.
Yeah. And so what is very valuable is surrounding, and I think when people get confused about that, you take an affiliate looks like a community of like-minded individuals, because we all do fitness. We all have it. There is nothing similar about anybody in that group. There is a similar pursuit, just like there is with you and I, in terms of we want an objectively better future, and we all have our own idea of what that looks like, and so do your clients, and we know the means to do that. And so where this goes wrong in all of business is that the first thing that people look for when getting out of hell is best practices. And so what they end up doing is not only not defining what success looks like for them and their idea of success and their version of their castle in the sky, they look for other people's version of success. And they start to copy that through best practices and processes and procedures and you name it, SOPs. And then the second thing they do is look for other like-minded individuals who can reinforce their struggle, their behavior, their problems, their efforts, and tell them that, hey, everything you're doing is okay. Instead of being around people who challenge the way that you think, question what you pursue, but most importantly, the intention behind that challenge and those questions is asking you, hey, Lisa, what do you want? Not the business, not what somebody else is doing, not about the money. Like, okay, let's say if you do want all that money, why? What are you going to do with it? Right? And if we can get to that, this is the important part. And we boil that down to, in the framework, the methodology for us is developing and setting your ecology versus your memetics. In every business that we know of, especially now in the affiliate model, there is a memetic pursuit of advancement, meaning everybody's trying to copy and emulate each other and best practices and like-minded groups of individuals and these cohorts of people doing the same thing at the same time for the same thing and moving forward. And it might work, but in history, if you look back, every civilization falls.
Well, no, yes and no. Yes and no. The history thing I'm with, but memetic. Sorry, I have to Google that word later. I'm assuming I know what that means. Memetic meaning
just
the same,
emulate,
like the rip.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's like mine.
Emulation, fiscally, financially, never word you're using it here. That's the way things develop. That's why McDonald's is a McDonald's. That's why you're gonna. They're fundable that way. That's why these other fitness things have taken off, because they're doing the exact same thing. But like you said, it's a slow death to your spirit because that's not what you signed up for. So why are you trying to, that's what, when you talk about other mentorship programs, it's easy. Like, we can give you a thing. Here's your leads. Here's how you run a class. Here's how you run a CRM successfully. Here's that XYZ. That might not speak to you. And that's what is so attractive to me. You said something. It reminded me of Adrian Bosman, because all of these CrossFit people, we have this unique ability to get outside of our own head for the most part. When I've met, you can actually look at a person and be like, I see them for who they are. And I remember that Bosman would fit perfect into this conversation, because in 2015, I got obsessed with wanting to do the splits. Okay. The front splits. And Adrian was like, dude, I heard you're trying to do the front splits. He's like, can I ask why? Because he was talking to me, because he used to do, circus stuff. And I'm like, well, I figured, Adrian, if I could do the front splits, then I'm starting to think, I'd be like, then it won't hurt my knee when I back squat. And he goes, well, that's not true.
Yeah.
He's like, why else do you want to do front splits? I'm like, I don't know, because I think I'm pretty big. It would look pretty cool, like, on social media. I'm just being honest with you. He's like, okay, I respect that. That would be cool. And he's like, so is that it? I'm like, no, I think it's a combination of it. It will make me feel free and open, right? So he then told me that's not true either. He's like, so one of the three of the reasons you want to do the front splits are accurate. You want it to look cool, and I totally get that. But when I did the front splits often, I was in the most pain because isometrically I had to contract those muscles. It's not as easy as you would think. A lot of times you're in more pain because you're doing it. So I instantly gave up on the front splits, because it wasn't it didn't match 1 of 3. And I'm already married, so it's fine. Like, I don't need to impress anyone. But I go back to the What is Fitness lecture. Whew, man, it's been a while. But I used to like the way I gave the What is Fitness lecture in the very end. This isn't like giving any IP away or anything, but people would talk about, I'd kind of go not off the beaten path, but I'd say, here's my definition of fitness with health. I want to wake up, I want to be able to hit a nasty workout in the morning, going to eat, probably just some eggs. I feel like
Just as we get into his breakfast.
Okay.
Yep, got you now. We've got the breakfast.
Okay.
No,
yep.
You're
right.
Now. I'm going low carb probably as I age, just to be even savagely leaner. So I'll wake up, I'll do that, and then I'll probably go out and just do some like skateboarding. I'll probably get in some weird activity, hit some jiu-jitsu, and then I'm going to pick the grandkids up in my lifted truck. They're going to hop out. They're going to jump on my back. I'm going to catch both of them. And then they're going to be like, dude, why is your eye black? I'm like, I just got nailed by this 20-year-old purple belt, but I ended up submitting it. Just fun things like that. They're going to be like, Grandpa, you're the best. And I think affiliate owners lost that concept of what does my perfect day look like? Because in the beginning, it might have been, hey, I am full of passion. I am full of energy. I'm going to wake up and coach every class. I'm going to do everything. And that is unsustainable. Every time I meet with a new owner, I try to tell them, very unsustainable.
But I think too, the problem is that when we talk about, when you get a group of the group of the like-minded people, you see affiliate owners that are bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and they start out, and then they get into like even some of these Facebook affiliate owner groups, and where there's a lot of poor me and everything's hard and this is hard and this is bullshit and this is not right and then they just like assume that identity as well, like the suffering is cool. I should suffer, or it shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be fun. Members are mostly pains in my butt, like, just the various stuff that people post. And then they lose that like perspective on this thing is completely cool and massive that you're doing and can not only change your life, but also, you are every single day changing the lives of other people rather than getting stuck in the, the grind and minutia that you're just following on with the herd.
For sure.
Absolutely.
To go back to, your challenge of the McDonald's thing, right? I think where we run into this problem is that it's It's a conversation of logic. It would make the most sense to, if I would like to change my situation or my position, to look around for other examples of people who have in fact changed their position similarly and copy whatever it is that they have done to the best of my ability. But that's the part. It's that part, the best of my ability. Dan Martell just made a post about this, as a matter of fact, just to kind of give him credit for that. But in terms of, I could give you the exact framework to $100 million business. I can tell you exactly how to do it, what each day looked like, what I ate, what I did, how it worked, exactly who to talk to, what to say, and you would iterate it. You would change it, you would manipulate it, and you would benefit yourself and your own comfort, because it would have to work in the context of what you are willing to do. And you see this on the fitness side. I could give you Froning or Fraser's framework to win the games, and then you would take it, and I would say, how did last week go? You'd be like, great, but I had to do a little bit of this. You already fucked it up. It's done. It's over. It's already broken. As soon as you say, yeah, but, or how about, or can I, or have you thought of, it's over. The whole thing is broken, right? And so in a franchise, it's such a no-brainer, because if I have a fuck ton of cash that I'd like to deploy and not have to think about, I want to be in a situation where I'm not going to change the context. As a McDonald's owner, I'm not going to go in and be like, you know what I'm thinking? These burgers taste like shit. Let's try something new, right? Like, there is no thought. And there is a way to run your affiliate that way, and that can work. But I've never met an affiliate owner who that's what they want to do. They say they want to be absent of thought, but they're always rife with innovation. They always want to try something new or question something. They just lose their ability to believe in their own ability to challenge or think creatively, because they lose their confidence primarily because they try to emulate other people. And when you start copying what other people are doing, subconsciously and psychologically, what you're teaching yourself is that I don't have my own answers. I have to get them from somebody else. I don't want to study for the test. I want to copy the answers, because that's the path of least resistance. And so little by little, that method turns into, let me just look around and see what everybody else is doing. And if their life is better, that would be perfect if you could copy and paste context to context, every single thing from the first meal, waking up, number of kids, tax bracket, you name it. It's just, there's so much nuance and context. And that's why we built this thing the way that we built it, was because, quite simply, the nuance matters, because that's the reason for doing all of this stuff. Everybody is trying to abandon their nuance and their context. They're trying to standardize and replicate and emulate everybody around them. But the whole reason behind owning any small business is to bring forth into the world this thing that is calling itself into existence through you. That's the hard part for most people, is because they're like, that seems heavy, right? And so back to a tactical sort of thing in terms of improving the quality of life of the owner, it has to start with, first and foremost, what does quality of life look like for you? What does fitness look like for you? But what is freedom? What does that look like? And then digging into that. Once you know what that is, evaluating the things that you're doing that you might have picked up along the way that other people are doing, and asking yourself, does that get me closer to my idea of this freedom of the future? Or is it a lot like fitness, where I'm like, well, I saw that Froning does 6 row workouts a day, so I started doing 6 row hours, but I never really actually tested if it was actually making me fitter. Well, based on your open scores, it's not, right? So let's just stop doing them, right? And so from an objective standpoint, it's not about that emulation is bad or that individual pursuit is better. It's just that in terms of objective, quantifiable improvement of the quality of your life, it's really hard to tell whether or not copying anybody has ever actually improved anyone's quality of life until they know what quality of life looks like. And this is why you see so many people end up filthy rich or super retired, or insert XYZ into here, and they're miserable, because that whole pursuit up until that point was level up in the corporate job, do what everybody else is doing, follow the path that was laid in front of me, do what I'm supposed to do. And then you get to the end of it, and the soul calls and it knocks on your door and says, hey, glad you did all that stuff. Now, who are you? And you're like, who the fuck am I? I spent my whole life trying to be somebody else.
I know. And the conversations I have, it seems like sometimes the culture of CrossFit or of the business owner, those things are at odds. Like, let me give you an example. There's a huge culture of CrossFit that they want to just talk about COVID and, hey, at one point, shut down and this and that. They're coming to take and it's like, I get it, dude. I totally get it. But then there's a part of it, the same person, or can in the same sentence be like, CrossFit's doing nothing for me. The problem with that is those are at odds. If you truly want to be left alone and just be like, hey, let's go take down the government, baby, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then if you truly want to be so handheld, then you're going back to the McDonald's. So it's like, where do you fall on that? What's this thing, Tony? Like the continuum. Where do you fall in the continuum of like, I want to be so barbaric and left alone, and like, I want to put crazy, I've seen some crazy shit on affiliate owners' walls, versus I want to be such a nice affiliate that I'm giving people towels. I have such an organized, CRM. People scan in. I have the 24-hour access. I have robots that text them, and all those things. So like, nothing is good and or bad. And I think that's where some people don't like me, and that's fine. I think that's where they get pissed. At my point of view, is like, I don't give a shit if McDonald's is going to stay. Matter of fact, if McDonald's goes down, I'm buying the stock right now. It's tanking. So technically, you're winning. Short if you're listening to this and you're on that side, I don't know. I wouldn't short it right now. But like, if McDonald's goes down, this whole country's it's gonna be a hit, man. That's not. Yeah. So be careful what you ask for. And if McDonald's goes away, you might not have as many clients.
Yeah. The Big Mac index is a real thing. You Google that if you want to look it up. But
the Big Mac index.
It's basically an affordability index of the value and the power of the dollar. But your point, I guess, really you're making there is it's just proof. Nobody knows what they want. And the reason why no one knows what they want is accidentally, but also intentionally, they try to distract themselves with going after what everybody else wants. And so they keep doing all of these things. And so when you ask people like what you want, it's no surprise you get all these things that are at odds with each other. I want more help and more freedom at the same time. Like, well, those two things don't necessarily coexist, right? That's just anecdotal and funny. From an affiliate owner perspective, in Austin and I have talked about this particularly, is just the general demeanor of what has happened inside the affiliate structure has switched from here's what I'm doing to what are you doing for me? And the reason for that is not HQ's responsibility or fault. I think more than ever, HQ has done the right things by creating positions like yours and everybody else and giving people somebody to listen to them. The issue is that the entire industry has preyed upon people by telling them what they're doing wrong and how this is how I can help you fix it. And so now we have an entire constituency of people looking for someone to help them, someone to show them what to do and to solve their problems, essentially to gatekeep them out of hell. I'm just waiting for Andrew to show up and he's going to lead me by the hand out of my problem. And then everything is going to be okay. And then I'm going to get back to doing what I used to do. Right? Like the whole thing doesn't make any sense because the reason that you got there in the first place is looking for somebody else to lead you out of there when you had to realize first and foremost that you were the answer. And so the thing that you're talking about is not a new thing, right? It's essentially the framework of the human scarcity brain, the entire scarcity brain of all species, but it's effectively the victim mindset. It's much easier, and this will lose everybody because no one's like, I'm not the victim. But if you're pointing your fingers at things and things that are outside of your control or the things that are keeping you from having the things that you want, you're choosing to be the victim. And which is funny because as affiliate owners, they understand the value of doing hard things. They no doubt about it. Like they will work hard. I've never met a group of people who do work harder. They just don't necessarily believe in their ability to pick the right things to work on. And so they want to stay in the victim mindset because if I'm a victim and I fail, I'm safe because it's not my fault. When this whole thing goes down, if I can stay in this victim role, it can be the mentor that I hired or the company that I'm partnered with or HQ's fault, and then it'll be their fault or the pandemic. But if I step into the hero role, which first requires me to accept that I've been the villain the whole time. When it goes wrong, I'm the one that crashed my spandex outfit. Right? I'm the one who is responsible for this. I didn't save the family on the bus. Right? That's heavy. And for that reason, most people, when given the chance, probably wouldn't put the spandex on because they'd be like, what if I drop the bus? Those kids are going to die. I'm not putting it on. This is the problem that exists in everybody.
I think too.
Listen,
it's funny.
You already know you wear it under bed.
Yeah, I do. It's funny because when you accept the victim victim mindset. I didn't take you articulated that well, because I wake up every day a victim.
Yeah,
You know,
we all
I
do.
do wake up every day a victim. And the thing is that you're fighting that inner bitch every single time. So excuse my bitch word. But one thing I want to bring up is I listen to the Dave Ramsey show all the time, not because I follow, is if I love the calls that come in and how he, particularly him, answers them so bluntly. And this one guy called in, he's a business owner. He was keeping from his fiance that, you know, he's got 1.4 million in the bank. And he's just like, he kept asking how he even got successful. He always asked a bunch of people things. And Dave told him, he's like, the reason you ask all these people different, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think if I do that? What do you think? Is because when one of them goes wrong, you get to blame that person. Or if something didn't go right, you made a decision. You're like, I shouldn't have listened to Frank. I should have listened to Lisa, right? Or Tony had a good point here, but I went with this one. So you get to put your success on, I chose this person, but you get to put your failure on, oh, it was Lisa's fault. I shouldn't have listened to her crazy stuff, you know. And I was like, damn, that was some good wisdom.
Perfect example.
You know, when we get, you know, people in who just want the plan, and that or people just want the answers to the test, it's that looking to abdicate that responsibility. Like, well, you gave me the wrong answers, or you didn't, you know, if it failed, well, it wasn't me. It was something that you gave me that was wrong. And then that way they don't have to take any ownership of it whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, I think the single biggest mistake, and I guess I can go on record saying this, that HQ made, was offering to do anything. Like, I think the affiliate model in and of itself, in and of its innovation provoking structure, was the right way to handle it. I think the creation of the positions like you guys and there being some more support people to be heard was great. But this idea of rolling out best practices and SOPs and all these things, all that's going to do is let people abdicate more and more responsibility. So when it goes wrong, they're gonna be like, I tried to do the things you told me to do, it didn't work, right? Like, well, how much of the context did you change? How much did you manipulate it? How much did you change the parameters to fit your idea of comfort? Well, I had to, because I'm in Colorado and I'm not in New Jersey, right? You ruined it, right? And for that reason, it can't even possibly get rolled out the way that it's supposed to. And I think what it's going to end up doing is turning the affiliate landscape into, and turning HQ into the protector of the affiliates in a very different role, as opposed to the essentially the person who's going to provoke them and hold them accountable. And I think that will be, to the point that you were just making about the Ramsey call. And you see this all the time. It's much easier for people the amount of people who hire and buy and pay for mentorship so that they can abdicate responsibility into that is substantial. That's one of the reasons that they are repelled by us, because they come in and they're like, wait, you're not going to tell me, like, there's nothing here for you to hate. There's nothing here except for you. We're going to help you. We're going to solve your problem. We're going to get you out of hell. We're going to see what you're doing and what you need to stop doing. And they're like, oh, that seems like being way too seen. Like, can you just give me a place to get lost in your portal so that, like, when it's overwhelming, it's confusing and it doesn't work, I can be like, I tried to do X, Y, and Z. It didn't work. Right? Like, nope, we can't. That's why we built it this way, because we wanted to be the solution, just not the one you wanted sometimes.
Yeah, and the first victim thing is, if you listen to what Tony just said and you're like, well, if you're not going to give me something, I don't want to sign up. And I'd be like, man, that's exactly why you probably should sign up, is because you're caught in that role where you're trying to find someone else being the villain, except realizing, all right, I am the one who's doing this. I am the one. I am going to get myself out of hell with help.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, that back to believing your own bullshit. Probably the most prolific example is, like, if your car is stuck in the mud and someone says, hey, I'm going to show up with a shovel, we're going to dig it out together. Like, that person is literally there to help you dig out your car. And you said, no, I wanted you to tell me how you're going to do it first, because I called 4 other people to ask them how they would get the car out first. And I'm going to figure out which one. And then when those 4 don't work, I'm going to be like, I didn't get the car stuck. I mean, I did, but they didn't get it out. Right. And this is the problem that we end up running into. But if you want someone to show up with a shovel and help you dig the thing out from your exact position and be with you until you get to the next position, then like there's only really one option, and that's us. But there's a reason why that's the only option, is because that model is both scary as a business owner, somebody who created aka us, but it's also incredibly difficult to do because most people essentially will fight back against that because they want things to be like, well, it doesn't work for me. And there's nothing here for you to say that's not going to work for me, right? It's going to be, how do you want to solve that problem? I would like to solve the problem. Okay, what does it look like when it's done? Right? And if we know what it looks like when it's done, we can reverse engineer everything. But it all goes back to that first question, which is, what do you want it all to look like? If we can't help you build that one, we won't even take you as a client. But if you can dig into that one and we can really crystallize that, and you can make us a believer, you're kind of screwed, because once we partner with you, it's not over until that transfer of belief is complete. Meaning we get it back to you being like, I can be here. Because there's another part of this that's a little bit more insidious, and that is the power of identity. Identity can be the most beneficial thing, or it could be the most nefarious thing that people can get a part of. Because like if you get into a certain fixed identity, and we now see this in the affiliate owner, where it's like, oh, I'm just an affiliate owner, or I'm just a coach, because we have this impoverished notion of that, like, success isn't possible inside these models. All of a sudden you start abandoning the dream. You start abandoning your ability, and you're just like, okay, what's the most I can get from here? And you start settling. That's not how that works. And so that's got to get broken. And that gets broken with belief first.
And it's changing that understanding that to have, you know, what is possible, rather than by limited by what you see around you and what everyone tells you that's okay, you know, that's enough. It's having that belief that I can have whatever I want. I can create money out of thin air. I can create my own opportunities. I can create my own freedom. And then actually believing that I can actually go and do that and take the actions, rather than, well, that's a nice idea, but it's not very practical now, is it? Like, just give me the shortcut, because it seems like it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, the shortcut sells tickets for sure. The shortcut is easy to clickbait, and we see that in everything we do, you know. And hell, I look for it all the time. Like, hey, I don't want to read this manual to learn about my dishwasher or anything. I'm just going to instantly go on YouTube. And a part of that is good. It's innovation, right? But fitness, there's not a lot of too much innovation in fitness is what led us to the problems that we have with health. Fitness in itself is hard. If you're like, hey, wake up, go walk for an hour with a ruck on your back, and you're going to go lift some, then you're going to have to do some deadlifts, you know, 5x5. Then you're going to have to do some gymnastics and monostructural, and maybe throw a burpee in, and you're going to time it. And then later at night, you're going to stretch for 90 minutes. I mean, really, that is, if I had clients, if I truly said I'm going to give them the best possible fitness life, I'd be like, well, I need 4 hours, maybe five hours a day, you know, which isn't real. I also, one time I thought about doing this on my affiliate, where I was going to put like an $80,000 a year membership. And I would be like, I would write what it is. I'm like, have you ever seen Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition? That's what this is. That's how much this is going to take me to do. And then I'd leave it up there, because guess what? What if 4 people really, really want to save someone's life, and they signed up and they clicked it? I'm held to a responsibility. So it's like, even as the owner, I think sometimes we get frustrated that we can't offer the service that we want due to time restrictions. And I found that a lot in conversations. They want to do all these things. Like, well, in my only class, I want this, and I want to give people. It's like, dude, we only have 60 minutes. So let's back it down and just think, like, what do you actually want to offer? Maybe your programming is longer. Maybe your programming is biased more towards strength. There was a big thing in the level 1, you know, when Strength and Metcon came out, I'd say like 2014-ish, 13-ish, you saw a lot of affiliates start to go in that route. And we put our hard stance, like, hey, you know, no, that was the thing for years. And now it's changed to where it's not like no, yes, whatever. It's just like, measure fitness, measure how, you know, are they coming to the gym? Are they getting injured, you know, more frequently because you're doing too much volume? Are you able to coach? And if you're meeting all of these things, and by all means, they're your clients, do what your dream is, right? And then here's the pitfalls that we found of it. So I like that approach more, because it's not putting a hard yes or no on something. I don't know where I just went with that, but it felt good.
Well, I mean, I think you went down the rabbit hole of innovation, and to the point of the affiliates in general, and like not having enough time in the day and wanting to do this, that, and the other thing. Where the fuck did they get that idea? Because they keep looking around at what everybody else is doing, looking for bright ideas and looking for inspiration. And they're like, they come back with a whole fucking backpack of things that they want to do. And I'm like, why do you want to do those things? They're like, well, I thought it might make money. Okay, let's explore it, right? And once you dig into it, they're really just looking for a desperate reason to find something else to do, because it's hard for them. The scariest thing for anybody to do is believe in something, right? And so at the core of this thing, if you want to do all these other things, the thing that you're telling me without telling me is that you don't believe in the thing that you're actually doing. If you believe that CrossFit, as it's applied in its methodology and its core approach, and as the core kernel is meant to be applied, is not effective enough and is not valuable enough to charge what you need to achieve the dream that you would like to achieve in your life, then you need to go back to that and challenge whether or not you believe in the thing that you're actually selling. Because if you think you got to layer it on with all these other things because it's what people want, what you're not understanding is what you're actually providing, because you're not selling the program. You're just simply using it. And, to the point of innovation, the core of this conversation, which is improving the quality of life, I've said it before, and it's not a principle that's mine. It's just red ocean versus blue ocean. And that's that 86% of all businesses are line item extensions of other businesses, right? But despite that, they make up way less than the average amount of money than those other 14%. And for that reason alone, that 14% makes the lion's share, which means they make the most money and they're doing the most good. They're bringing forth something new and novel and valuable into the world. That's why they're making the money. And so for that reason, it's impossible for you to copy your way to success in business. And this is hard for so many people because the conventional path, less than 1% of the world's population owns a business. And there's a reason for that, because it's fucking scary. It's terrifying to believe in something so much that you're going to go to bed at night and fight and die for the thing, because that's literally what you're going to have to do. Because we're all taught from the moment we're born, conditions and standards are what is expected of us. Meet the conditions of my parents, meet the conditions of society, meet the conditions of everybody else. And that's easy because all I got to do is just check the box. Get the job, get the girl, get the house, get the picket fence, get the kids, get to do these things. That's safer than saying, hey, I got an idea and I'm going to bring that idea to life. And then the question then becomes, okay, but what if nobody wants to buy it? Uh-oh, right? Like nobody really thinks about that part of it. And so you can't copy your way to success in business, but most people try. 86% try. And the reason why those 86% end up in jeopardy is that as soon as one thing goes wrong, their whole thing goes down. We have to get the affiliates back to innovation again. And the only way to get them back to innovation is to get them to understand and appreciate their individuality, not their replicability and not their repeatability and not their similarity to everybody else. Because if we do that, we're just building red ocean affiliates.
Yeah. And one of the reasons, remember the first time we met, I remember you came on a call, you're like, Andrew and I are either going to like not like each other or we'll be best buds.
I was pretty sure we were not going to like each other. I was like,
no,
this guy.
It's because you brought up money. I don't feel bad about being the guy who talks about money in finance with affiliate owners. And it's because we came up in the culture where, money was bad. You only do unique opportunities for individuals. That's business, right? Greg said that. And which there's definitely some truth to that. However, you that's not the way the world works. And funny enough, I brought up on my call yesterday a dividend investing book. I just screenshot it, or the title, and showed it to him. And it's called Too Rich to Be Stressed, Dividend Investing Book. That's the title of the book. Should have seen everyone take out their pen and paper and write that book down. And I did that on purpose because it's the truth. Everyone's like, oh man. But also I tell them, I'm like, you need to know then what rich means for you.
Yeah.
To take that I think what rich means for you, like for what rich means for me is I have no debt. That's fine. Rich means for me is my time. I want to be able to have mental freedom, because when I have too much on my shoulders, I'm a worse father, I'm a worse husband. And if I don't work on things that excite me a few hours a day, I end up being like living in a little bit of mental hell. So like I reverse engineered that. All right, what's the quickest way to get there? Can't get a new fucking car like Tony does. You know, I mean, it is what it is.
And if you buy the right one.
And I'm willing to make that sacrifice. The Toyota's running forever, but it's the sacrifice. I can't tell how many owners are like, man, I haven't taken a paycheck. And be like, what's the last purchase you made for the affiliate? Like, I just bought four rowers. And I'm like, damn, dude, did you really need? I mean, I'm just throwing this out there.
They don't break.
Did you really need those? Yeah. Or did you, could you have maybe paid yourself so you could take your family out to dinner and then maybe start saving for that Disney World trip? What would your members want to see you happy? Would they be excited to see you go on that damn Disney World trip? And look back on COVID. What was the best thing that affiliates had going for them? It was the community. How many affiliates were like, yeah, my members just kept their membership going, et cetera. Like, they want to see you happy. So do them a favor, book a call, figure out the fuck your happiness is. And that's clickbaity. Hopefully Keith finds that one. But like, it's the truth. If you need a guide, a shaman, can you say, can there be some sort of verbiage that affiliate is the shaman? Isn't that the right word? That you go on like a mushroom trip or a peyote trip, and it's like, I need a shaman with me. It's your
Depends
shaman.
on the drug of choice, what the facilitator is called, but yes. Generally
I just
speaking,
couldn't do it, dude. It's a problem. I've thought about that. I'm like, man, I like getting really uncomfortable mentally, but then there's that element of like, probably. Oh, absolutely. But I don't. I think my brain's a little too been too wired in certain ways. Like, you don't want to go in there, but you never know. You're probably right.
Well, your comment about the book, I think, brings this whole conversation to a summation, because bringing that book up, it's a great book. It's a fantastic book, and they should read it. And they wrote it all down, and no doubt about it, they're going to find it. And hopefully, let's just assume that they all consume it. One of my favorite examples, and I won't bring up the specifics of it, but I had the pleasure of being in a room with good old Senior Chaffee giving his talk about prospecting. And what was great about that call is that it is quite literally the framework to solve your fucking problem, right? He literally breaks it down, and it's literally simple. Fucking talk to everybody and don't stop, right? Keep track of everybody that talks to you and everybody else, and then literally just pick up your phone and keep calling, right? I mean, that's kind of it in really, really broken down summation. Anyways, everybody in the room, feverishly, they're taking notes. They're like, this is going to change everything about it. So I turned to the person who was with me and said, I'll make a bet with you. I'll call 10 of these affiliate owners on Wednesday. How many do you think answer the phone? He was like, I don't know. I said, I bet you none do. On Wednesday, I made the call, but I called 20 of them. You know how many people picked up that phone? 1.
4.
And that person that picked up the phone, only one person. So my point is that all the information, all the advice in the world is completely useless unless processed through the context, through comfort, because everybody is in a comfort crisis. They all want to make everything is applicable and as valuable to their situation as they can, up until it comes at the expense of their comfort. And I'm not telling you that you should change it, because here's why that's important. You cannot change the parameters that the client brings to you. And you can see this. If I came to you as a nutrition client and I said, I'm a vegan, sure, you could look at me and be like, I need you to eat chicken. It's probably not going to happen, especially if I'm like an ethical vegan who's like, it's not about the protein or that I believe in the science, it's just that like I love fuzzy animals. I just don't want to eat them because I think they're cute and cuddly, right? Like, so telling me to chew on chicken because it's got more protein in it is probably just not like, I might do it a few times, but all I'm going to think about is that little baby chicken running around every single time. The client sets the parameters because the context and the nuance sets the parameters. I can still work inside the parameters of being a vegan. It's not going to be as easy, right? It's not going to be potentially arguably as healthy or otherwise, whatever you want it to be. But like, if you want to be a vegan, let's roll, right? The same thing happens when you come in here. If you want to make your affiliate an ice cream stand and you can tell me why that's a good idea, let's roll. Because if I try to spend my time telling you, hey, here's what you need to do because it worked for everybody else, but I don't think about your context. The reason those people didn't pick up the phone on Wednesday when I called wasn't because they were busy. It wasn't because the phone wasn't working. It's because they're uncomfortable in the conversation and transaction of sales. They're uncomfortable talking to people about the money and what they do and why they do it. And so they're afraid of the phone. And I know this because for over a decade, I called affiliate owners trying to get people to sign up for gymnastics courses, and they've never picked up the phone because they're averse to sales. They all thought they built a field of dreams. I'm going to build this matte black haven and everybody's just going to flood in the door and I won't have to talk about anybody except for they'll just come in and give me their credit card and they'll show up to class on Monday. Right. Like, and so the client sets the parameters and the context is dependent. I could say, here's why you need to change it. Here's all the behavioral mechanisms. Here's what's wrong. Or I could just be like, okay, if you hate sales, you hate sales. Let's roll with that. What's the plan then? How do you plan to get around sales? Okay, let's come up with a solution because I can get you to success way faster if I work inside your parameters. But if I spend all my time trying to change your mind, we both get nowhere.
Yeah. So do you think, considering that there's not a lot of advice given, when it comes to affiliate is not an advice giving solution, but are we a pitfall knowing shaman?
The short answer is if we don't do our job well, that is a risk. One of the hardest things for us to do here as a company is to remain patient and curious. We have so much experience with the affiliate owners, with the affiliate model, with the psychology, the behavior, the identity, the collective audience that is an affiliate owner. It's so simple for us to be like, I see it coming, right? I know as soon as they book the call, I can look at a handful of different metrics and be like, here's how this is going to go. And then on the other side of that, it's really easy for us to abandon it on this shamanic journey and be like, all right, here, just take this medicine so I can be done with this quick. Because advice will always be the easy answer. It's always the easy answer. It's so simple. And the advice monster is a very, 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 very insidious beast.
And it will always jump up and bite us in the ass.
Problem solving. There's nothing more that, at least, problem solving, right? Like how many times, if you're married, typically it's one or the other. So I'm not going to go guy girl. It's like, I know for me, it's problem solver, right? My wife comes to me. That's how my brain's wired, and that's how. So I think that there's been so much problem solving in this industry that it's like, dude, we need someone to hear and understand. Why made fun of Hiller and I are definitely cool, but when I always talk about like civil, this is like for a while this like I don't know, liberal like softy, and like, wow, that is hilarious because that's amazing. I'm honored to be labeled that because I've never had that label on planet Earth in my life.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is like you do need a place where you can just fucking talk and like we'll have conversations and you'll leave, like, for example, that guy who talked about he doesn't want to call the phone. I'm like, dude, do you have kids? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, how much? And I'm like, these babysitters I'm paying, I feel like I'm way underpaying them. It's my kids. It's the hardest job in the fucking world to watch these kids. Hardest job. And I asked other people who use this babysitter, like, yeah, we pay her $12 an hour. It's amazing. And she loves it. I'm like, $12? Like, this is like a $50 an hour job. It's so painful. In the nicest way. And I'm like, have you ever thought about that even? Like, and that wasn't advice. It wasn't advice. It was a conversation. Like, I know that sounded like advice when I just said it, but we were having a conversation based on babysitting because we both have kids. And he kind of came to the conclusion on his own. He's like, I guess me paying a member from my gym who's like loves to talk $15 an hour to make a call, I'm not calling them back at all. So my fear, and then he talked about his fear. He's like, my fear is that they're not going to do it as good as me. But guess what? If I don't call them back, that's even worse. And he kind of walked away with like, I think I'm going to do that. But you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't me saying, got something right out of my back pocket. It was a conversation conversation that led him to what would make him happy. And I didn't have some thing in the back of my mind like, I'm going to plant this seed to see if it takes.
And that's one of the things we say is, you know, we basically help clients trip over their own truth. And, you know, they come to that realization through the power of asking questions. Some are harder than others. And then waiting for the answer, not filling the gap. And like that dude knew that answer. It's like, oh, and then off he trundles kind of thing, rather than saying, go do this. Because sure as anything, if you'd said, go do this, just crickets, still be waiting. So, you know, it's getting people to understand that they do have their own answers. And that's where our transfer of belief kicks in, is that we believe in you and then hold you accountable. Well, this is what you said you were going to do because this is what you said you wanted, but you're over here doing this thing and looking at this other thing right now. So how does that equal what you just said? And that's the power and the accountability, rather than, oh, we're over here now. Cool. Let's run over here with you and do da-da-da. Or, well, shit, that doesn't fit our model. Just come back here and do module 2. Just come back here, because that's how I can control you.
I think to bring it back full circle to the actual root of this, which is improving the quality of life of a business owner, an affiliate owner. Innovation is the lifeblood of a business. When a business ceases to innovate, they begin to die. And what we have now is a precarious situation where many affiliates, many small businesses are ceasing to innovate because we have an access to a wealth of information. Everything is Googleable at the end of our fingertips. And as a society as a whole, the downfall of the innovation or the information age rather is this collective belief that the answers are outside of us. We have a community of know-it-alls as opposed to people who are interested in becoming learn-it-alls. And if you want to improve the quality of life of your business, you need to know what that looks like, right? And the problem with getting advice about your business is that there's no such thing as bad advice. Nobody's ever maliciously giving advice. It's just that the trouble with advice is it assumes the receiver of said advice is incapable of solving their own problem. And if that's the case, this is a big issue for us as coaches, because coaching is purely the transfer of belief. And if I don't believe in you and your ability to solve your own problem, we're going to have an issue. And it's always going to be easier for me to tap into my advice monster, which comes in 3 different flavors: tell it, save it, or control it. And if those three opportunities are really, really grand opportunities to feel good about myself, because if I can tell you answers, or I can save your situation, or I can control your situation, it's always going to be a little bit easier for me to feel good about myself and see and show and demonstrate how I've done that thing for you. But what that does when you receive that advice is get you to believe in me and not yourself. And why, as a company, we've always been the anti-guru, is that we've never wanted you guys to believe that Fitfiliate is the answer to your success. We believe that you guys are the answer to your own success, because we don't want you to believe that we have the answer, like many other gurus and mentors that are out there. If you think that buying their solution is the answer to your problems, congratulations. You just invested in not believing in yourself. And that's what we were never after.
And I think that's a good note to stick a pin in this one. And we've covered some awesome territory today to give some thought about.
This will go for 2 hours, and you're kind of screwed.
Yeah,
now,
I was
Lisa,
about to say, I was instantly just planning. I'm like, should we move the time of this to so we can have 2? I don't know, but then again, who's going to listen to?
Well, you two might.
Just making the next episode.
It probably means then if we make it longer that I don't have my coaching call with Tony straight after, so there's a bullet dodged. So maybe.
Well, the only real downfall making it longer is that I always have to pee really bad, so there'll be an absence of Tony for at least 2 minutes in one of these.
But I've enjoyed the banter and the chat today, and we've dropped lots of thought bubbles for people to think about. So if you are watching this on YouTube or listening on your favorite platform, please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more of our amazing content. We've got some great guests coming up in coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. And as always, head over to Instagram and follow us at Fitfiliate and get amongst the action. Reach out if we can help. We're always happy to chat. No obligation. Don't bring your credit card. Just come and have a chat, and we will be happy to to listen, and you can garner some pick Tony's brain. You don't get that offer every day. All right, guys. Thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure.